evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're
Wherever
watching this.
you are.
But for us right now, a little tiny bit of light maybe left in the sky.
Yeah, there's just a tiny
Just
stretch in the evenings.
Tiny stretch. It's lovely.
It's
Isn't
lovely.
it really nice? You can start to think about spring.
Yeah.
Start to think about spring cleaning, which we've been doing a lot of. Start to think about new things.
We're going to be very busy in the next few days.
Yes, it'll be great. We'll be getting the steps in. The steps on the watch is going to be there.
Definitely.
For sure. Hello to everybody joining us. It's really lovely to see you. We are here for, well, it's probably going to be a 2-week break after this. So we're doing one last live before all of this
changes.
Plans that have been in place and been trying to be
This
in
lady
place
here,
for about 9 months.
A
So
visionary.
I'm not.
She knows what she wants.
Well, we found some wonderful people to help us do it, because I think it is very important to kind of go, like, we're good at what we do. We're going to say we're good at what we do, but if we tried to design a shop, no, we are. Right? I'm going to say that. I think not enough people say that. Okay, fair. But there comes a point where you got to see other people are very good at that and let them do it.
And let them do it.
Yes. Lisa, Carol, I was just saying just before we came on, so I see the comments there.
I
Carol
like that idea, Carol.
Lisa's husband needs to make you all cocktails to get through it.
Yes.
We were just saying.
Okay, Ronan, that's the way it goes.
Upstairs. He's upstairs tonight. So say hello. Hello. Hello.
That's what he's in charge of, the cocktails.
Indeed, I think, and he's very good at that. We did, well, last Christmas before, we got him to do a video on how to make proper Irish coffee.
Yes.
That was like a little recipe thing that we did, so that was good fun. What I was saying was, let people be good at what they're doing. So we have
Get the experts in.
the wonderful Aoife Rattigan has designed, and John of Pride Craft Construction has made all of our units. And they were both here this morning, and we were doing all of our little last minute kind of checks and things like that before next week. So they are going to be in, and I asked, I said, do I need to be here every day? And they said no. Am I going to be here every day? Probably. So
I think I would be.
Yeah.
It's
So
your baby. You have to make sure everything's okay.
So we have done. Yeah, it's all coming together. I don't want to talk it up too much. I'm a bit afraid. But no, I think it's gonna be lovely. Thank you to everybody for all of your really good wishes. And Carol remembers the Irish coffees. So it's great to see you all joining. Thanks for saying where you're coming from. We have another jam-packed session for you this evening.
This evening.
I don't even know what day of the week it is at this point. But we have yarn, we have patterns.
We do.
You've got pretty things.
We have pretty things to show. Jackie's beautiful Ella sweater.
She couldn't be here tonight because she's minding our children. So she has entrusted me with this gorgeous cardigan to show to you.
Step back to do a twirl. Gorgeous.
This is a design by Isabel Kramer, fantastic designer. If you don't follow her yet, follow her. She does so many beautiful wearable designs.
And also she writes a really good pattern, so you can trust her.
100%. And when you find those designers, I think where
you stick with them. I've made so many of her designs
again and again. So this is just a really simple, repetitive lace stitch. Don't be afeard of it at all.
No.
It's really nice to do. My mum is taller and has longer arms than me. But you can see lovely long cuffs or long sleeves. This detail at the back is very sweet. Can you see that?
It's just lovely. It sits lovely on the neck.
It does, and everything drapes. So the yarn is a Mano Warmy. It is very special yarn. It is. We make no bones about it. A really spendy cardi, but so worth it. And I was only saying to Joy before we came on, we did used to stock a Mano yarn several years ago. And I made, again, it was one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, am I seriously doing this? But I made a hat. The hat, I thought I'd get it out of 2 skeins, and it went into the third it was a Royal Alpaca silk and cashmere blend yarn. And that hat has worn so well. It was a €90 hat in the end, but it has worn so well. So it's one of those things that I just know I'll wear forever. But that is this. I can see that there's questions coming up, and yes, I will answer that. We have a really full list, so I might not be able to get to everything, but I'll try and scroll back if I can. Can I, if there's extra questions, could I ask you to leave them to the end, just to see do we have time? But I do want to address that one. We tried to post a reel earlier on today, a tutorial on weaving in ends, and the Instagram gods just thwarted us and thwarted us and thwarted us. Poor Ankeles was just ready to throw her phone out the window. So it didn't work. We're going to try again tomorrow. It was spinning, it was deleting things, and we managed to get like a picture posted at one point. And I wanted to get back to you just to say it's coming. I promise. Now, will we show one of your lovely pretty things?
Oh, okay.
Yes. We'll do that. I think you have two to show, do you?
I have two.
So we'll do one. Don't let me forget about the other one, because we did that there the other way.
Okay.
And we'll show you what Joy has made, and then we'll get into the questions. So please do. They're waiting for your bits.
Now, it's quite dark. It's the darkest thing I've made, I think, in a long time. But it's Pure Majesty in Tara 4-ply, which is, I'd love you to feel this. It is so soft. It's unbelievably soft. But I used the, how do we pronounce it?
Chimera.
Which we don't actually have the colour I use. It's called Aurora Borealis. But just to show you, it's Junction by Andrea Mowry. That's for you, Annette. I'm saying it very slowly. Junction by Andrea Mowry. And again, Andrea is another one who writes really, really good pattern. Again, you can trust her.
Yes.
Now,
not the same color, but this is the yarn itself.
Yeah. But what I want to say, just a quick thing about brioche that I have learned the hard way, brioche is two-sided, which is fine on something like this, which is a second Medusa scarf. So I want to show you, this is supposedly the right side, even though it's a scarf, so it doesn't matter. So you can see the darker color is very dominant, but when you look at the other side, look at that, the lighter color. And I have to say, I'm usually more drawn to the lighter color being on top. I don't know why, it's just a personal thing, but just to show you. So this is my second Medusa scarf, and it's in Jenny. We did a mystery bag.
So,
yeah, so these were two of the colors, and I just said they had to go together. So in this, sorry, I've just knocked the camera. Oh. Anyway, to show you, this is where the darker color is the dominant one. And I'm going to show you the inside because I think I made the right decision leaving it the way it was. This is the inside, which I could have done.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, again, I started it and then I was like, will I go back? But I didn't. I kept going, and I think I'm glad. I think you are. Yeah. It's a very personal preference thing.
Because and then you can wear one of your bright scarves on top.
Yeah, and I tell you that it's just really, really lovely. So that's Tara in Pure Majesty, and the Chimera. Sorry, I can't pronounce it. By Rivernet. They did like it, I have to say. So yeah. And I made the second size, and I only used one skein of the Aurora Borealis. I can't believe it. So there you go. That's what I've been doing.
Now, those yarns, the Aurora Borealis, will be back in stock by the time we get back into the shop, the new version. So yeah, you can hang on for that. But that's absolutely beautiful. We'll get you to model that now. But next week we'll take some photos while we got you downtime.
It's just so soft. I have to say, I was really impressed the way with the two yarns. Yeah. It's just really, really soft.
The little glints of colour just coming through. It's subtle and it's beautiful. Really, really nice. Okay, I will check just a couple. Oh, how long did it take to make your purple sweater?
A couple of weeks.
Chimera. Thank you, Carol.
Chimera.
Chimera. And yeah, no, it's absolutely stunning. So we will have those. We have the Pure Majesty, but and there's other colours of Chimera in stock.
Love that Pure Majesty.
But yeah, if you want to hang tight, we'll have more of the beautiful Aurora Borealis for you. Now, my darling live peoples, my live watchers, just in case you might not have gotten your newsletter, if you're not subscribed to your newsletter, I want to let you know. Okay, Carol, thank you. Emphasis on myrrh. So Chimera. I give up.
It's lovely, whatever it's called. By River Knits.
By River Knits, and the name of it is the Junction Sweater by Andrea Mary. Okay, so if you haven't got your newsletter, just stay with us. Don't run off just yet. But because we've got to clear everything out in the next little while.
We don't want to count it all.
Well, we don't want to count it. We don't want to carry it all. We don't. Yeah. So we're offering 12, because we're 12 years in this unit, which I can't quite believe. No wonder it needs a facelift. 12 years in here, so there is a 12% discount on the website. Now the website and in store, but let me cover the website first. The website is going to be shutting off tomorrow at 5 p.m. Dublin time, okay? Because we've got to get everything packaged up and get it out to you. So we can't let it go any longer than that. So that is until 5 p.m. tomorrow, and then you've got until 5 p.m. on Saturday to shop in store. You just need to use the code. Tell us it's new TIK. I think it's in the newsletter. Ash, I think it's new TIK. I'll ask her to check that for us. And make sure you pop that in, and you will get 12% off across the whole website, and we will send everything out to the post office instead of sending it to be counted. Okay. Good deal. So hopefully we will see you tomorrow if you can come in. We need extra staff probably for that. Carol says we're going to need the cocktails, and very good. Okay, we'll talk to you later. And okay, Botany Sarah, drop us a message. Okay, so questions. It's 10 minutes past the hour. I haven't asked a question or answered a question at all yet, so let's do that. From Black Belt Girl, we thought this was a fun little chatty one. She was saying, what do you do with your swatches when you are finished your project? What do you do?
Well, you can make a blanket. I've seen people sew them together, make a blanket, or you can rip it out.
Yes.
And use, I've done that a few times where I've had to rip them out to use in the project.
It can happen. Most designers, we've had this question as well, most designers do put in the allowance for the swatch in there. Okay, so that fingers crossed, but then tension varies and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So, so definitely people and it's such a cool idea. Like imagine all of your knitted projects, just making them all into this crazy patchwork blanket.
Lovely. You'd say, oh, that's that, and that's that.
Yeah.
Memories. A memory blanket.
It is nice. Or if you haven't made that many things, a scarf can start off being a scarf. When I started, I did put them in little journals with references to what I'd done.
You often see the designers, they have these journals full of their swatches and their information.
Yeah, because you can kind of go back for reference, but then you might find that your tension varies as well. Because it can kind of go, that's my that's my tension on soft merino iron or something like that, but you never know.
It can change. That's the only thing.
Even the needle size that you use, or the needle material that you use, can affect your tension. Yes. Right? So, then sometimes you get rip and reuse, or sometimes I just use them to demonstrate things with. So that was that. Thank you. It was a great question. Then we had from Epidote 6 was wondering what accounts we go to on Instagram for a bit of Instagram information and inspiration. Inspiration is the word. So what did you have?
So, well, obviously, Julie Knits in Paris, I follow her. And Stone Knits. Stone Knits, Aisling follows her as well.
We recommend, we all picked up a few new ones to follow when we were chatting about this earlier,
But Stone Knits, she's in Switzerland. She has fabulous photographs, and she designs socks.
Lovely.
And she has a lovely cat. So I love to see the cat, and her designs are just lovely. Yeah. And then there's also...
Who's this? Oh, Margot Chien.
Margot Chien, MARGOTCHIEN. And it's really colourful designs.
You were saying that she'd take patterns that are out in the world anyway and completely flip them on their heads of colours.
A really unusual kind of choice of colours. So she's really good. That's
good for seeing things outside the box. Yes. Yep. I really like the photography on Gozik's knitting account, so GOSIKS, Gozik's knitting, and Flynn Knit does those really fun pom-pom reels and the photos with all the little bits of the scrap ends. And they just kind of make me smile, the hats are super colourful, chunky colourwork hats. And
then there's the frog designer, Dot and Pebbles, I think it's called. Oh my God, she just designs the most amazing animals. But the frogs, I made a frog. I'm going to make more frogs.
I can sense more
they're
frogs
really,
coming.
Really lovely.
Yes. So, and then we had Melody Hoffman and Melanie Berg and Isabel Kramer, the designer of these, and you can't go far wrong. So loads and loads
There's
and loads.
loads of them.
Oh, and share yours in the comments as well. Who's your favourite Instagram account apart from us? And type it up into a list for, of course, yes, absolutely. We can put something in stories maybe tomorrow with the collection. Ash, if you don't mind, would you screenshot other people's recommendations if people pop some up, and then we can share them with everybody. So
It's
just
dot,
keep giving
dot
her
and
jobs.
pebbles, I think.
Yeah.
Dot and pebbles,
Very
not dogs. Dot.
Oh, Dot and Pebbles. Gotcha. Now, then we had from New Morning, New Mercies. Is there this was an interesting question, and the answer might be a slightly different route than you'd expect. Because what you were wondering is there a resource for decoding a pattern if you don't understand it? Now, and what we said is if the pattern designer hasn't given you all the information, it's not a great pattern.
Not a great pattern, because most patterns have a glossary at the beginning, and they explain in detail how to do each, if there's a technique in it. I would. That's why we love the Isabels and the Andreas and Julie, because they give all of that information, and sometimes a lot of patterns will have video links for any of the unusual techniques, even some of the more simple ones as well. So I would, if you're picking a pattern, I would always kind of look at how many projects are made, see what the comments are, because if they're not giving you enough detail, probably it's not going to turn out as well as you would want it to. Yeah.
There is, I mean, we're talking about, there's the Craft Yarn Council. I think the States would have like not a default, like a glossary of all the terms, but some designers use different abbreviations.
They do. Yeah.
So there is, as a resource, if there's something that you're currently working on and you're not too sure about, oh goodness, what is that abbreviation? If it isn't provided by your pattern, then that's a good resource to go and have a look at as Craft Yarn Council.
Just goggle it.
Goggle it.
Google it.
Sorry. You won't get very far if you Google it.
I always say that to my grandchildren. Will we Google it? Sorry, Google it. And something will come up.
Yeah.
And also Very Pink Knits.
Yes. Yeah.
She has everything.
Yeah. There really
Very
is.
Pink Knits.
But definitely, try and do a little bit of research maybe on the pattern designer
before you start.
Yeah. But thank you so much for your question. I hope that some of that's helpful. We also had a question from Jen Mills, who was wondering if the Knitting and Stitching Show is going to happen in November. We don't think so. We haven't heard anything about it. Certainly, I think since there was kind of
Brexit.
COVID was the first blow, and Brexit and everything else, because it's a UK company that organises it, I think it just hasn't been feasible for them. Joy has already started on the cocktails.
The goggling, is that what?
The goggling.
I wish I had, Cara. I really wish I had.
Okay, so I think I'm going to turn around the camera because the next couple of things were questions about patterns, and you'll be able to read the pattern names a little bit easier if I just pop the iPad down and show you some stuff there. So bear with me, and we will go around. Hopefully, I hope you can hear us well today. Did you notice? We're up in the technology game. Up in it. Okay, here we go. As long as I don't knock anything out. Now, so, okay, it's a bit dark. Let's see what we got. Now, that's so you know who you're talking to. Okay, so we had from Claudia was wondering about pattern ideas for single skeins. So we had a couple of different things. We came across this gorgeous one by Hohi. I think it's a reasonably recent release.
Yes, I think so.
It is called One Skein Magic. As you can see, I'll just get in a little bit closer. So that's Hohi Locatelli, or she's on Ravelry as Hohi Locats. One Skein Magic. So that's a really, really gorgeous one. Now that particular skein, when we looked at it, it is 400 meters. Bear in mind, some 4-plies are going to be 360, 380, but it depends on which direction your shawl is worked in. Let's see, you might just be a row or two short or something on that. So let's see, and then we had the Waikiro cowl and Close to You and Sophie scarf. So these are samples that we're going to show you. Let's see, thank you very much. This beautiful cowl is the Waikiro cowl by I know her name. Aroha Knits, isn't it?
That's it.
Aroha
Knits, yeah.
And this is one skein of Tara 4-ply. and it's buttoned up the back, and it's so sweet, and it looks, when you wear it, we might have to put this on when we change the camera around again, but it looks like a triangle scarf that's been worn to the front, you know, you just without all of the extra bits. And it's got this beautiful tassel. So this is all lovely twisted stitches and lace detail. It is gorgeous. Ciara, yeah, you're saying Hoki has a few one-skein shawls. She does, and so does Justina Lorkowska. We've got a close to you here, if I can turn it around the right way. So this is absolutely beautiful. It's just a big boomerang shaped scarf. Now we've used, it was a little bit of a leftover here just for a bit of detail, but you can obviously, it can be made with one skein of yarn and just keep going, and you've got this beautiful little picot detail, very, very simple eyelets, and these teeth kind of coming along all the way down this edge. So that's, we like that. So that's called Close to You. And then the Sophie scarf was the other one, wasn't it? Which is around the corner. So we'll throw the Sophie scarf. It's our sample is in Aran weight. It's in the warmy, but it's also can be done in fingering weight as well. So
just match your needle to your yarn.
Exactly. It's just this wee little bandana scarf, and you can just, you go all halfway. Weigh your yarn, make sure that you've got enough to finish, and then you go back down and you narrow it all the way. So it's just one of these things that you can like do with any bit of special yarn that you have lying around. Who has a bit of yarn lying around? I don't know anybody who has a bit of yarn. Now, so a cowl pattern. This one is for Nicole Romeo Juliet. You were wondering about a cowl pattern for someone who does jogging, and we had a few ideas. Let me show you. One is this one here. It's called Howl by Kimmy Zalek, and it's one that came up when I went looking for a convertible cowl and hat. So as you can see, it's designed with an I-cord and eyelets there, so it can be pulled together and worn as a hat. But then, oh, where's my second picture? I'll show you. Basically, when you undo the I-cord, it can slip down around your neck. So I thought that for somebody who does jogging and running, it could be a really nice idea, you know, so it can be worn either which way. You could maybe make two, and then the second one can be pulled down, and then it's an extra bit of cowl. Then we have the bandana cowl from Pearl Soho. Again, a little bit of extra warmth on the front of the chest sometimes can be a good idea. And looks like that's going to knit up pretty fast as well. And let me see if there's any more. Or the Heart Warmer by Justina Lorkowska, which I don't seem to have a picture. Oh no, I do.
Oh, there it is.
Waiting for my picture. Sorry, it's because it's just a wee bit tiny. If you want to go a little bit more fancy, then there's the Heart Warmer cowl by Justina Lorkowska. Justina, I'm again, yeah.
You
so
say potato, I say potato.
In that, lovely designer, very talented, does beautiful things. So there is that one. Okay.
You could also do the one we did in Kuzu, the wild birds.
Oh
cowl.
yeah,
that would be another one.
Oh, and that would work up really, really fast.
It would.
So then we had, I might come back to that one. Let's see. Let's do some yarny ones. Do you want to see some yarn, peoples? Let's do it. Oh yes, several of you were wondering about Rico Designs Make It Tweed. So it is gone. What we got in is gone, but I have straight away ordered more, and we will have more coming to you, obviously, once we return into the building again. So this amazing thread here is this gorgeous rainbowy, it just changes color all the time. It has these wee neps and noops along the way. And the idea behind it, because sure, while we're here we'll talk about it, and then when it comes back you can grab some. You can hold it alongside with any other yarn and make it tweed. So this is some gorgeous, again, reborn wool. This is the color right here, and held together it gives you this effect. And actually it's really good on the reverse as well. It's beautiful in garter stitch as well. It's just a lot of fun. I was like kind of, what other yarns can I use with this? What else can I see and do? So you can check it out. It's 545 or 585, something like that, meters per ball. And we will get more as soon as possible. And then I played a little bit with this, which is Biche Bouche,
yep.
Le Petit Lamb's Wool, and I wanted to see how it would react with a really dark colour. The knitting needles I was using were probably a little bit loose, but I did a little one colour brioche with the 2 strands held together, and it's just so fun. So
and
fun,
it wouldn't affect your tension too much at all.
I don't think so.
It's like a thread.
It's very thin. Maybe you might go up like half a needle size or something to compensate, but like you'd actually have so much fun swatching with this. Swatching would not be a chore. Not at all, not at all. So they have Make It Tweed, and they also have one called Make It Rainbow that we have on order. I'm waiting for that to come in, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, it's nice to see it with the different colours and everything, isn't it? So that's been part of the effect. Can you believe this is my work? Can you believe?
I can. I can.
As in that's work. That I get to play with yarns. So let's see. What else have we got? So that's that one. Colouring book. Oh yeah, Una Padalka, you were looking for greens to do a colouring book raglan in, so let us show you a bit of that, and I'll let you do that one.
Okay. So Una, we have a load of different choices here. Here we have Origin, and the colour is Ponderosa. Oh, remember that?
Yeah.
What show was that from? Somebody will tell me. Anyway, Ponderosa, that's beautiful. Here's another green in Origin, and this one is called Juniper, just to show you the difference. Really nice. Then we have the Reborn. A lot of people are using the Reborn for the colouring book. So this one is, and it's really lovely. I love the flecks that it has in it. So this is colour 12. Really nice. A completely different. It's amazing. Talk about 40 shades of green. I think there's more than 40. And then, of course, there's beautiful Rios. So here are 2 greens. This is this lovely lettuce, colour 37. And this one, I think, is Ivy. So you can see the difference again. It's really nice. And yet more, there's more. Here we have the soft merino Aran in this lovely sagey colour. Let me see what number it is. It's colour 40. Again, all the different choices. And here we have another one. This is the Katia Concept Cotton Merino. So this one is, it's 50% cotton, 50% merino as far as I know. Yeah. So it's colour 122. And you see the way it comes up with the 2 kind of, it's the cotton I think is the white part, but it really is lovely. So, and of course, the Amano for the very special colouring book raglan. And this one is colour 6007. So again, you can see it has great depth in the colour. And
hold 2 strands.
Hold
together.
2 strands. Yaku. We want a bit green mat here. It's nearly Patrick's Day, isn't it? So this colour is grey scroin. I don't know. Anyway, it's colour 1181, and you'd hold 2 of them together. So it just depends on what kind of green you want and how much you want to spend. So somebody's asking, will sea veggies come back? What was sea veggies? Oh, sea veggies was Nua, wasn't it?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. We don't know at this point in time, actually. Yeah.
We don't know.
So, yeah.
So anyway, so that's all your greens, Una.
Okay. Now, so our next pattern that we're going to take a look at some yarns for is Pippin Sweater by the Knit Pearl Girl. So you can have a little closer look at the detail there. There's some lovely texture throughout. I think that'll be absolutely fabulous. And it's knit in a double knit, and we are finding colours for Anne Really Knits. So you were looking for blues or blue greys, and we got some blues and we got some greys. This, I mean, it's a favourite DK, isn't it? You know,
oh, it is. It's lovely.
It has become one very much appreciated around here. It's West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is their fleece DK, and this is colour 1041 Ravine. And then they also do, I'll hold them together for a little comparison, a kind of steely blue grey, and that's called Fossil 1034. A few options there. And then we've gone more, there's another sort of steely one, and then another kind of more standard mid-grey in Bebe Soft Wash. So colour 20 over here, that's a lovely charcoal-y shade, and colour 29. So let's just pop them together for a wee bit so you can see them all in the one go. Oops, without banging anything. There you go. A few options, but any of those would be really nice. That's a gorgeous sweater, isn't it?
It is, it's really nice.
Like a little bit of texture now, I have to say.
Yeah.
So hopefully you like those, and hopefully they're helpful. Thanks for your question, Anne. Let's do Viva Magenta. This has been popular. Okay, so if you knew
so we went a bit
or know
bonkers
of,
with this.
Yeah, we did. We kind of thought, all right, we'll have a run around. But just in case you weren't aware, Pantone, it's not really showing. It's hard to get pinks to show well on this. But the Viva Magenta is the colour, the official colour of 2023. So we're going to show you some that meet the criteria broadly. Go on, Joy.
Okay. So, Diane, we've picked quite a few different ones. So here we have the Colour Lab West Yorkshire Spinners. Let's see. It's very berry is the colour. So I think that there's quite a range in the magenta that you can pick. This one is Amethyst in Tara 4-ply. Again, another lovely one. And Colour Lab with a mix. And this one is Summer Pink. Life in the Long Grass Moon. And the colour is Rose Garnet. But did I say there were 40 shades of green? I think there's more like 100 shades of magenta. So look at this gorgeous one. This is the Oshishita, and it's called Purple Rain. But just look at that colour. Let's go. We have the Morning Salutation. Again, it looks darker there as I'm looking at the phone than it is. It's slightly lighter than that, and it's colour 6. Still going. Now we have the Donegal Wool Spinning, and it's 3036. Again, another lovely one with different flecks in it. Let's see, three more. So Origin, and the colour is Petunia, which, yes, it's kind of a pinky red almost next to the others, but it does fit. And then there's the Darney. So loads of different thicknesses here. 8807. Well, I think that's really lovely. Emer says she'll take all the WSC. Okay.
Done.
And then last but very much not least is Clarendon Sock in Amethyst. So you can see the difference in the two bases, the way Amethyst comes up. But still all in that pink, whatever you call it, magenta look. So I hope that gives you some idea of what to do with magenta this year.
Loads of choices.
There you go.
I wouldn't mind a magenta cardi now.
No, I think it's really, oops, lovely.
That's what happens. You see, you start seeing these things everywhere.
I know.
And it becomes the thing. Okay, so we're on to Catherine Murphy. Catherine, thanks for sending in this question. You were thinking of making the candy, I think I'm going to call it candy pullover by Nomad Stitches. Nomad Stitches is absolutely one of our favorite crochet designers, and that is a super beautiful top. It's obviously using quite fine yarn. I think we're saying it is a 4-ply in the pattern. But you picked up, now this is Abbey lace, but you actually picked up some Trinity lace in single malt. And sorry, DWSC is Donegal Wool Spinning Company, so it's the studio from Donegal. And sorry, back to Catherine. You were wondering if you could hold together a Trinity lace with a Stellaris to get the fingering weight tension for this gorgeous design. Now, you might, I wish I could offer more insight than you might, but what you would want to do, I think you should really try. Stellaris is so fine, it doesn't really impact on tension at all. So if you want to use the Trinity lace that you have, I think actually holding 2 strands of the Trinity lace together might get you what you're looking for, and then you could still add in the Stellaris. But swatch a little bit with the 2 strands of the Trinity. It'll come to me, and then add in this for a couple of inches, and just take a look at the fabric and see what you want to do with it. It's a little bit like with the Make a Tweed. I mean, holding yarns together, it's the most fun type of swatching ever. So, you know, give that a whirl and see how it comes out. But we do, obviously, you were saying you love the single malt colour, so do we, which is why we have it also in fingering weight if you want to come back and have a look at that, okay? So, but yeah, absolutely gorgeous. I would really like to see that done in single malt as well. So that's the Candy Pullover by Nomad Stitches. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for your question. So we are getting there, folks. Let me see. Una wants to see some weekender options in greys and neutrals. What I'll do now is we'll show you these greys, and then we'll turn the camera around and show the actual pattern after that. Yeah.
Okay. So Una asked, what did she ask about the soft?
She said, wood soft Donegal work. Sorry, this is we have our own sample in the shop as well, but this is Andrea Mowry's weekender sweater. Yeah.
So yes, it will definitely work in the soft Donegal. In fact, really any worsted weight yarn. We did our sample in the DWSC, which is Donegal woolen spinning, which is slightly more rustic than the soft, but it would definitely work. So this is the grey we have in at the moment, and it's colour 5511, and I've got lots of these kind of flecks in it, so it's really lovely. And also, I know this isn't grey exactly, but I put this in.
I love it.
I made a sweater in this. It's the marl, and it just comes up so lovely, and there's tiny, tiny hint of red in it. I don't think you can really see it. It's so tiny, but it knits up really lovely, and it is this Donegal, the soft Donegal base. So that's colour 9589. Just try and show it off there. You could go with the Hamilton Tweed. There's another grey. So this is colour 16, and it's Hamilton Tweed 1, the worsted weight one or Aran weight one. And again, it has lovely flecks in it. So any of these would really look lovely in the weekender. And then you could also go for the soft merino Aran. So these are two different greys. I mean, I don't know how many greys there are in it, but I picked two. So this one is a light grey, is colour 20. And this more kind of marley one is colour 94. But there are several different greys on the website. So that just gives you a few different choices. So, but any of them would look really lovely.
Gorgeous. Yeah, you get to look at the ceiling for a quick second. And turn around. Hi. Okay, so we have a bit more chat. We're back to show you our lovely weekender sample. That's that one there, and you can see the beautiful little slip stitch detail down the middle, the gorgeous boat neck, and it's a very generously sized pattern. It's meant to be quite boxy. But you did this, it was the extra small size in the body and then the small size in the arms.
And then I picked up the small size of the sleeves.
For the arm stitches, yes. So just bear that in mind. I mean, it's a styling thing, really, isn't it?
It's a very generous sweater, and we just decided we wanted one slightly more fitted.
Very good, very good. Okay, so Pepe and Juju, you were asking about skeins. So when you get yarns in this format, like that, and you were wondering, are you supposed to wind them into balls before you use them because you'd get a tangled mess otherwise? Yes. Yes is the answer. What we started doing was putting on our little thank you cards that we put in the packages, a QR code that you could scan to take you to a video of how to wind your skeins at home. I need to do a slightly shorter one, I think. So I recorded it back when we were first doing tutorials. But yes, you would wind them into a cake.
A cake, we call them cakes.
Cakes. Or, you know, you can actually...
You can do it by hand.
You can do it by hand, or you can pop a note into your comment section of your order asking us to do it for you. Just might delay your order getting out to you by a day or so if that does happen.
Depending on how busy we are.
Exactly. It just depends on what's in the queue. But yeah, you can take the backs of two chairs and unwind the skein and pop it around those and like to kind of keep it.
If I do it at home like that, I put it around my knees and watch TV. And do it slowly, don't try to go too fast.
No, exactly. And then you were saying, epidermis, I made a tangled mess with my first skein. So did I, oh my goodness. I ordered, it was an alpaca and silk lace weight yarn. It was like the most expensive yarn I'd ever ordered at that stage. Early in my knitting career, or my 20s knitting career as opposed to my primary school one, and came from the States and everything. And I lost half the skein just to an awful mess. So yes, you can. you should wind it, but there's a right way of kind of keeping it all under control as you're doing the winding. So definitely, if you want to give us drop us a little message after the live, we can send you a direct link to that video as well. People use their knees as well, and great.
And it's taking your time, because some skeins don't behave.
No, and we have that too with the winder.
We have that here sometimes, and it just, I don't know what way they've been put together, but they're all entangled in and out. So take your time, patience.
Yes. Diane, if you place an order tonight, will it be ready for click and collect on Saturday? We've actually suspended the click and collect just for the moment because we didn't want people expecting that they'd be able to pop in next week for it. But if you want to do that, leave a note in, and if you're definitely going to be on Saturday, what we'll do is we'll refund you the shipping cost. So place the order, we'll get the thing back to you, and we'll make a note that you're coming to collect it.
Put a note in the comments, otherwise it will go out in the post.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Make sure it's like highlighted. And we'll get that sorted for you. And if you are using your knees, do not take a break. It will tangle when you don't look. Exactly. You've got to keep an eye on them.
Oh yeah.
Keep an eye on them.
Yeah. They like to misbehave.
They do. So next one up is Crochet in My DNA. I love your handle. I love it. That's so good. Do you have any tips on how to deal with ladders in socks when using double pointed needles? I always get them on the last stitch of the needle. Yes. So what we call traveling joins is the best method.
Just don't always use the same, what would you say, split.
You don't split them in the same place. Yeah.
And a tip that I read once, and I think it does work, you know, the way you'd be inclined to pull fast on either the last stitch and the first stitch, it's the second stitch of the next needle that you pull tight. Just pull it extra tight. And it does work, but apart from that, also just change where your needles meet. You know, move it another few stitches over.
Every now and again, like 2 extra off the next needle, and just make sure you keep a stitch marker to remember where the beginning of your round is. But if you do that sort of shifting of that point, then it sort of spreads out the tension, and oftentimes then when you block it, you might still have a few little loosey-goosey bits, but when you go ahead and block it, it'll all settle a little bit better. So Crochet in My DNA, I do hope that helps. I keep saying that, but I hope it does. Now, button band. 2 people asked questions about button bands this week, and they were El Royo Claire and Sandy Con Ocho, as Ankele said to me earlier on, or Sandy Con 8. I would love to know your opinions on whether it's better or easier to pick up and knit, I think, as you go, the button band of a cardigan. Most cardigans seem to have you pick up stitches. Would it be easier to adjust the pattern to include knitting the button band as you go? So I think that's from Claire. And then we had the other one, which was, there are so many beautiful cardigan patterns that I'm afraid to try them because they have buttons.
I used to be like that, I have to say.
Definitely.
I was like, oh no, because it, you know, that's sometimes when you can see it's really homemade because it's badly done. But most of the patterns nowadays, the way they give the instructions, again, trust your pattern writer. Like there was a lot of stitches to pick up on this, and it all worked perfectly.
I did my super long one, so I had loads of stitches to pick up around that.
And the thing about having an integrated button band sometimes is it's because it's at a loose tension. Usually you do your button band at a tighter tension, smaller needle. You can end up with it flaring and being loosey-goosey, which isn't very nice. Now some patterns it works on. I think
this one.
Some patterns it works on.
But there isn't,
because it's
not
an
actually,
edge to edge.
And this isn't meant to have actually holes or buttons. It's a draped front cardigan, so it's not supposed to that. But this one, Ella, it has, if you do a knit one, purl one, and I believe this is like slip stitches at the end. So
that tightens it up.
It does, exactly. So the designer really needs to have accounted for like the fabric and everything in it, so it's a little bit trickier to kind of say, I think I'll just, and especially just don't make it a garter stitch. If you're going to add in extra stitches, don't make a garter stitch, but all the way up, because it just behaves differently.
It definitely does. So I think it's worth trying. It is worth trying. And the picking up stitches is probably easier than sewing on, which I did many times.
Oh, yes.
Sewing on a button band,
Yeah.
That's worse.
And we have a comment there saying Asa Tricosa has patterns for integrated button bands. So then
Yeah.
again, like that, the designer's
Yeah.
gone to the trouble of making sure that it's going to work.
Yeah.
So definitely just find those ones and then you can give them a go.
Yeah.
And then the second part of that, or the second person was asking, can we give a quick demonstration on making a buttonhole? So remind me at the end when I just have my wee swatch to show that. Because most patterns are using a simple yarn over and knitted together. So it's really, it's probably one of those things that in your head you think is much
harder.
trickier than it is. Yeah.
And again, it's the pattern.
And
Choose
Molly,
your patterns wisely.
Molly says she hates picking up stitches. So many other patterns available, so don't worry anymore. We did talk a little bit about this a while back about dividing up your fabric even just by folding to make sure.
Yeah.
So rather than picking up stitches all the way up the side.
What I do is I put marker at the back, marker to here to make sure you're picking up. That's one of the really important tricks. Make sure you're picking the same amount from there to there as is from there to there, and the same here.
You have those waypoints then, so like if you're to pick up 100 stitches all the way up there and you divide it into 5 sections, you don't get to like 97 or 110 up here and rip it all back. You could have to do 20 in each section, and so you've got those little checkpoints and you're not always going forward and back and doing the whole thing and come back. So that might help you get over that hump. What patterns are your cardigan? This is called the Home Cardigan by Cardree, and this is Laelah by Isabel Kramer. Just do that again. So Lee O'Connor. Hi Lee, how's it going? This is my pal. If you were watching us when we were in Rhinebeck, is my good friend in New Jersey, and she's like, we're getting her in the knitting. She's making a bell sweater by Coconuts. So all good. Hope it's going well. Swatching, what is it and why should we do it? You wouldn't think I'd been friends with her for this long,
Did you not taught her?
So I try. I don't get over there as much as I want to. So myself and Lisa have been friends since we're 8 years old, and I'm finally getting her into knitting. So you should do it. Swatching is taking a sample of your knitting, or sample of the piece of the project that you're about to make. That you're doing it as a checkpoint to make sure that your number of stitches follow the same measurements as the designers, okay, because they've done all of that maths for you, but they've had to take that basis of their swatch, so yours needs to match theirs, or else the whole thing is not going to fit. Now in the case of Belle, it's a very drapey oversized sweater, so I think we were getting away with it, but if you want something that's a bit more fitted like Joy's cardigan here, then you have to make sure to swatch, because even over the course of like 4 inches, if you're 1.5 stitches out, that adds up all the way around the course of a 36, 40, 44 inch garment, okay? So we've all been there, we've all made mistakes, we've all still occasionally not swatched afterwards and not learned.
Oh no, not me, I always swatch.
But it is important, and we go into it in detail. We have a TIK guide to gauge, which I will send you a link to, darling. And also within that, so if you haven't signed up to the newsletter yet, get on to that, like anybody else who's listening as well, because in your little welcome email, you'll get the TIK guide to gauge, which has a flow chart for how to make sure you're swatching accurately. And it will tell you whether you need to go up or down a needle size, or whether you're bang on, that's great.
Emer has answered that question.
Emer says, yes, wash the swatch as you are going, in the same way as you're going to wash the garment, because you're gonna wear it, it's gonna get dirty, you're gonna have to wash it at some point, so you want it to be the size that it's gonna come out after you wash it. So wash your swatches too, especially if it's superwash yarn. Now we have a trick for a superwash yarn, which again we've done a whole live on swatching, and because it's 10 to the hour, I'm not going to go back into it, but it does potentially have a little bit more, it definitely has a bit more stretch to it when it's wet. So there's what we call the wet towel method. We also did a reel on it as well, so pop back and have a look at the wet towel method. I don't want to rush the tutorials again, so I'm gonna carry on. Colourwork swatches from Britannia Sappa. You were wondering, with colourwork and swatching, how do you use your stash up if you're going to mix different brands of yarns and different types. Because you're new to colour work, if your yarns aren't from the same seller or they're a new type of yarn, how do you swatch to get gauge?
Well, you would match, if it's the colour work that you're using from your stash, so leftovers or whatever, you would match the weight of your yarn with your main colour. So if it's DK, you use DK. If it's 4-ply, it doesn't have to match exactly. If it's a little bit thicker, it's better than if it's thinner, because if it's a little bit thicker, it'll pop more for your colour. So, I mean, the answer is to swatch and see what it looks like and see if you like it. I know I did a sweater for my grandson, TIK knits, and they actually said to double the colour to make it pop more. So thicker rather than thinner. It's a great idea, and it's a great way of using up bits
and bobs,
and leftovers. So
okay,
yeah.
Oops, sorry, jumping across you there. Okay, I've got a few more that can be done when we're going down. Lula Karuna, you were asking about knitting looms. I haven't got much experience in knitting looms. I think they're like that. You were saying you had a wider one or long knitting loom, and what projects would you make? I'm going to throw that one out to the audience here to say, have you used knitting looms before? What types of projects? If it's a long one, I think mostly people do like scarves, or they make panels that they sew together. So I know it's not exactly the same, but Grace, you know, on her
remember
weaving
she
loom,
made the thing.
so she did these lovely long rectangles and then sewed it together in the back. So she has this lovely artsy drapey waistcoat that you can do. So that's just a little bit of like a few ideas, but the looms themselves, I think you can do shaping on them and stuff, but unfortunately I just don't have a huge amount of experience on it, sorry. In the dark a little bit, but if anybody has any suggestions, then we'll read them out for you just in case you're watching back later. Wet versus steam blocking is from RBC 7513. Which is better for checking your gauge? Is it steam blocking or washing? As we said, do what you're going to do to the final thing. Final thing. And then, because you're going to have to wear it and you're going to want it to fit and for it to be something that you use for ever and ever and ever. So definitely go with that. And May L9H, you're wondering about which two yarns you would mix together to make an Aran weight, which two thicknesses you'd mix together to make an Aran weight, because you want to use like a lace weight fluff and another yarn for a project. So we think always, I know we're like a broken record, is swatching is required, but if you try 4-ply and a fluff, there's Knit With Me. Okay, thanks for coming in. Thank you for coming with us. I hope you had a lovely trip. Sorry, it's Carol, isn't it? Yes. Carol and her friend Lisa were in over the last couple of days. So we
lovely to meet you.
So back to that question. I think because the 4-ply and fluff is what the Love Note sweaters are made out of, and that gets up to like a chunky gauge. So I think you'd get a lovely, like, not overly firm fabric, but a little bit denser of a fabric with that. Or if you wanted even denser, you could go up to sport weight.
So that's a 4-ply and a fluff held together. I think it was 6 needles.
6 millimeters,
Yeah. Again, swatch.
Swatcheroo. Yeah. And then back to the Make a Tweed, because we did have a question just very quickly from Rich and Wool, because you're doing the follow along, I think, or you're making the colouring book Raglan, whether you're following with us or not, and you purchased Rico Soft Merino Aran, and you're wondering if you could hold the tweed and would it affect the tension a bit. Swatch, but we don't think so. I don't think it's going to add in.
I don't think it'll make a difference.
Yeah. So definitely give it a go. The only way to be sure, and I haven't done it with the soft merino yarn yet. I'm going around trying to find every yarn I can to hold it with. But give it a go. I think you'll be fine. That's it. I mean, if I could only actually finish the projects afterwards, but I tend to end up doing demo pieces and things like that. So I hope that helps for you, and I'd certainly love to see what you come up with for sure. Okay. Whew, I've got 7-ish minutes to cover the last few bits. I'm going to ask you to maybe show some sock heels, if that's okay, and then I'll get stuff ready for tutorials. So we had some marked in that. Because Roisin's question was, what is the easiest sock heel to knit? Again, let's ask the peoples, okay? Because There isn't
It's a
necessarily
very personal thing.
Very personal. Not one that's
Because I know I don't knit a lot of socks, but I use the integrated heel Albina McLaughlin. So I did a few socks with an integrated heel. I also did an afterthought heel, which was really interesting to do, where you knit the tube and then you cut and then you put in your heel. But this book here, it's the Sock Knitting Bible. So we have a few heels marked here. Now, so there's a whole piece. Look at all these heels. Oh my God. So let's see, what does it say? The common heel, there's a common heel. So stocking stitch. So if you can see there, it's on these little shorty socks. So that's one.
Want me to turn it around?
I think there's slip stitch heel. I think I can see it. Whoops-a-daisy. So you can see this is a slip stitch heel. And then there's garter stitch heel. I think it's another one of those things. There's so many. What was the one that Jackie did on? It was a cherry.
Oh, cherry kiss or something.
Cherry kiss or something. Listen, there are so many different types of heels, and I think it's one of those questions. You know, it's not that any one is better than another. It's what you feel that you want to do and you find easy. But I would certainly look at Albina's patterns, because she has written them like for people who, like me, I hadn't knit socks in donkey's years. And certainly I found the integrated heel really, yeah, you've been converted, Mary. Yeah, I found it was really easy and turned out very, very well. And there's somebody with a short grow garter heel. Yeah. Please apply. Thanks. What's his name, please? Okay, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, there's a lot of books out there, and also if you
sweet tomato heel.
That's it, Jackie.
Wow.
And you, where's like a cherry
kisses?
tomato? Maybe that I was thinking of. But yeah, we used to have a sample of that here.
There you go. So yeah, there's so many different varieties and options, and just have fun with it is the whole shebang. Have fun. Okay, so I'm going to name check a few people. We got Dublin Unicorn, Tina EC, and Mar Brunette, and these demonstrations are for you and for anybody else who's watching. Okay, so number one was joining new skeins of yarn. Is there a really good way to do it? And I remember very well kind of thinking, goodness, how am I supposed to do this? Okay, so number one, what we want to do is make sure you're leaving kind of 4 to 6 inches worth of thread, okay? Yarn. When you go to join to your new, yes, thank you, hooray, we're still here. So what I do is I hold that yarn in my left hand, okay? You may knit differently, and it might help for you to hold things a little bit differently, but you just need something so that when you pull on this end, it's not going to run away from you, okay? And really all there is to it is to go into that next stitch and do try and join at an edge, at an underarm, somewhere a little bit like, you know, discreet, let's say. And I'm going to knit kind of 4 or 5 stitches, still holding on, keeping some tension on the new yarn in my left hand. And then when I've done that, you can drop down and you can do a little overhand knot just to sort of secure things in place, okay? But you're going to undo that knot later on because you are going to come back and sew your ends, exactly. Now, if I come back to where my yarn is, here we are. So can you show how to run the other colour up? I can indeed, because our next question was about blending hand-dyed yarns, okay? Because sometimes, and these are 2 tiny little mini balls, sometimes you'll get, even from the same batch of hand-dyed yarns, just a different distribution of colour throughout them, and you might find, these aren't too bad, not too bad at all actually, but you might find that one skein from a batch has got like super loads of pink and another one's got loads and loads of blue, and you want an overall more blended finish in your project. So when a pattern tells you, or even a label or a ball tells you to polarize, that's the color, tells you to work kind of blending 2 rows, like work 2 rows from each skein, this is what you do. I'm just going to come back and purl across, and then I will join you to show you how you're going to carry the yarns up the side, okay? But in the meantime, would you mind showing how to fix a pulled stitch?
Oh yeah.
Because that is what we have.
Oh, where's my yoke? Oh,
It's under there. It's under there somewhere.
There it is. So we had somebody ask, and I don't know who it is
Okay,
now,
I'll give a shout
about
out.
pulls on your sweater. So I just pulled this stitch here. Now, I mean, one quick way of doing it is just to pull that stitch to the back, which I have done sometimes depending on how. So you pull your basically your piece of yarn is either way, it's in the back now. But what I would do usually is, okay, so pull it. Now, so you have a loose stitch here. I would go along the row where the loose stitch is and just pull. It's hard to do this through the camera, sorry. So just pull it back, and all the time, you know, trying to straighten it out. So there it is there, and I think that's the stitch, is it? I can't see. Yeah. So pull out your stitch along the row, and again, pulling. And that looks pretty good to me. So that's with a pull. So, but like I say, sometimes just pulling it to the back is enough, but that works beautifully. So I hope that helps.
Definitely. You're kind of working out the tension across, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so I've purled across to the edge here, and we're going to flip around. And I was using, let's say, this one that's ending in the light blue, and hanging down below is this one with the more dark purpley midnight shade. And what you're going to do is every second row, because we're going over and back, but if you're working around, I would do it every second round as well.
Yeah.
Some people do it every round, but then you might end up with a little bit more pulls, I think.
Yeah.
So basically consistently, looks great, very helpful. Thank you, Joy. Lots of nice comments. What you want to do is take this thread up and like in front of the old yarn, essentially. So
do it consistently the same way.
Exactly. And then it's going to, I think people worry, so it's coming in front, people worry that it's going to be really obvious and it'll create a lot of bulk or something up the side, but it won't do that.
No.
It tends to just sort of roll a little bit out of view. And it's even if this was, we weren't blending, if we were just doing 2-row stripes or 4-row stripes, and you were just doing that little wrap at the edge, it'll always just sort of tuck itself in. It really isn't going to cause any issue.
If it's in the round,
yeah,
I would normally do it at the start of the row, wherever the row is. Would you do it like that?
Yes, yeah,
So
wherever the beginning of the round marker is.
Yeah.
So you would do it like that. So you're just going over and back, and then I will do another one again. Do you know what I will do though while I'm here? Is we were talking about simple buttonholes. Sorry, because we're on a nice knit side. And what we can do, just going to undo a few. That's tinking, by the way, just in case anybody doesn't know about tinking, which is knitting backwards. Where is the light today? I don't know. Where you pull on your thread there, and it'll show you the path that the yarn has gone through, and you can just stick your needle into there and then pull back one stitch at a time.
Unknitting.
Unknitting. Tink is knit spelled backwards. How do you do this change when you're knitting in rounds? Let me get to the other bit, and we'll just give a wee demo, but it's essentially the same. You just don't have this breaker point, you just decide to do that at a discrete point, essentially. So your yarn would just hang down in the center of your tube, and you'd always bring it up, again, kind of consistently.
The same way.
Underneath and around, instead of to the front. It would be the thing, like you'd pick it up from underneath is the way that I would do it. But just pick one and be consistent with it, essentially. Okay, so the world's simplest buttonhole before we go and finish up for this evening. You're going to wrap the yarn around. Okay, so it's a yarn over buttonhole. Bring the yarn to the front and over the back of the needle again, and then knit 2 together, because you've created a stitch by making the yarn over and knit 2 together. And there is a dinky little buttonhole. That's it. So there's other styles. There's 1-row buttonholes where you'd be doing, if you want to fit in a much bigger button, then that's another thing. But the simplest one, yarn over and knit 2 together. That's it. This yarn is Townhouse Yarns Drury Decay in Polarize. I'm not sure if we have a skein on the shelves there, we may or may not.
Yeah.
We definitely have polarized the colour in Clarendon and other bits and pieces, as Jenny is dying as fast as she can. And Sandy, yeah, absolutely so much simpler than I thought, and as so many things are, where you're stressed and you're worried that it's going to be a really big deal, and it's not, you know. So let me just do anything else to show now while we while I pearl across. Nothing else. I made the anniversary shawl in that colour. It's a great shade, it really is. Yeah, it's in let's see if we got any polarizer. I'll show you. There we go. Some Clarendon.
Yeah. So here's polarized, and this is in Clarendon sock. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. Maureen loves it, don't you, Maureen? So polarized, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful shade.
All right.
Okay.
Excuse me, very conscious about my purling. Yeah, and then I do 2 knit stitches at the end. Okay, so we're back here, and our yarns have been carried out. Don't bash that. So again, we've got this position that we're in where we have the yarn hanging and waiting down here to be brought into the work, and then you just bring it up in front, and there will be like this teeny little half twist at the side, and it gathers the yarn and brings it together as you go. And then I did say I would have a little, whoopsies, sorry, I would have a little bit of middle of the road. I sing a little song while we're here. If you wanted to join in another yarn, or if it's in the middle, I'm just going to use the other end of this. It's the same thing, really. You just hold on the tension in the middle of the row. This is if you were working in the round, and make sure it doesn't come out of your hands, and carry on knitting. So like that. And you would be taking, when you were doing your changing every second.
It's
round.
more important with the knitting in the round to cross your yarns so you don't get a hole. That is very important.
You'd be bringing it up. This is very mangled. I will have to do a separate example of that, I think, at one other point. I don't want to actually confuse you more than anything else.
Yeah.
But essentially, not back here. If this was hanging here, you just make sure to bring the new yarn up and around that lower yarn to make sure that it is stuck together. Chowga needles, yes they are, yes, and I completely haven't caught any of your questions in all of that time, slightly flustered with the lack of microphone sound and everything like that, but there we go. I always weave in at the end, but this makes so much more sense. Yeah, we do have a tutorial coming tomorrow on weaving in ends as well. We tried for today, it didn't work, but we're gonna convince, we'll sacrifice something to the Instagram gods this evening. And would you recommend helical knitting? I've seen this, I have not tried it, I'm fascinated by it. Yes, a lot of people have been recommending it, so when there's a movement like that, there's definitely something in it. So 100% yes, do that. Thank you for your best wishes for the next couple of weeks, Orla. Looking forward to checking out the new gaff. So when Aoife was in earlier on, she says to me, I have photographs of the units, but I thought I wouldn't share them with you. And I says, no, don't. I want to be surprised. And then that's how I want to feel, or want to present it to you guys as well. So we'll do a few little sneak peeks, but I do want you to kind of go, I hope you go, wow, at the end, so fingers crossed.
Of course we will.
I hope so. And the place is going to be so tidy. So tidy. Yeah, okay.
We do our best. We do.
If you want to check out anything that we featured today, then pop onto the website through the link in our profile. If you're watching on Instagram, or just jump onto the website. The search function, it actually is a bit funny. You've got to search and then you've got to hit return if you're on a computer to get like the full set of results. It'll give you like a preview of like 5. But if there's anything you want to know, drop us a comment, send us a message. We will sort that out for you guys. Website shutting off at 5 p.m. tomorrow, so we can get all of your orders out the door Saturday morning. hub. And if you use, thank you for watching. If you use the code new TIK, you will get 12% off at checkout on the website until 5 o'clock tomorrow, or in store until 5 o'clock on Saturday. Thank you so much. Good night. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Bye.